Hi there, I'm Terry Ashley and I'm the Executive Director of the Charlotte County Chamber of Commerce, and I'm so happy to talk with you today. I actually am from Ohio, but I don't tell everybody that. I was born there, but I got to Florida just as quickly as I could, and I grew up in Southwest Florida in Collier County. And I spent my time growing up in Everglades City. But we came to Charlotte County a lot when I was a child, and I have photos of my son, who's now 41, when Fisherman's Village was brand new, when he was a baby. As he was growing up, we would come up to Charlotte County, and now I have photos of my granddaughter, who's 15, whenever we go to visit at Fisherman's Village. So I remember when it was a trek up 2-lane 41. The only place we had to go shopping was up north to Fort Myers or Tampa or Miami from Collier County. So we used to come up here all the time over the little 2-lane bridge and so on and so forth. But we finally made it our home here in 1995 after I lived in quite a few places all around the country and even in Europe. But there was no place like this. This place of Charlotte County is our little hideaway that more and more people are discovering. But after 100 years, we are lucky that we've still been able to keep it our little diamond. And I don't even want to call it a diamond in the rough, because it's just our diamond. And there's no other place that I wanted to come back to. There have been changes, but there are always going to be changes. If you think back through the decades, even back, as far as the time when the Native Americans, occupied, lived in this area. This was their area. Back to the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s. It's funny to say back in the 1900s, because we're in the 2000s. So back in the 1900s, whether it was 1999 or 1900, things do change. They're not going to stay the same. But I think Charlotte County has done it right. But I do remember, there were concerns about growth. There were concerns when our road systems did need to be widened to accommodate what was happening here. When we did have more people coming from the north to live here. There were people who opposed widening of roads and people who opposed landscaping and making the area more attractive, but those things are a necessity, and I think that helped our community. It's helped our community prosper. The role of the Chamber of Commerce, which, by the way, since Charlotte County was founded 100 years ago, some aspect of the Chamber of Commerce has been here for all but 4 of those years. The first sort of beginnings of the Chamber of Commerce was formed 4 years after Charlotte County as a Board of Commerce in Punta Gorda. So ever since that time, there's been a business entity in Charlotte County that has become the Charlotte County Chamber of Commerce over those years. It's very interesting history to follow. We've been through, I don't know how many presidents, I forget. Calvin Coolidge was the president back then when this Chamber of Commerce, the beginnings were started. And we've gone through everything together with Charlotte County, from hurricanes, major ones, to ones that weren't named yet, to tropical storms. Then they started naming them. We all remember the biggies. And Charlie was not the first one. Hurricane Donna was on September 10th, 1960. That was a biggie here in Charlotte County. But Charlie was small but mighty, as we all know. Charlie was a horrible experience to go through. Yes, I was here. We all have our stories. We all have our PTSD flashbacks from Charlie. But in a lot of ways, Charlie did us some favors. And things have changed. There are so many things we can think about, but here we are 100 years later. The Charlotte County Chamber of Commerce has been here. We're going to be here, and we look forward to going through everything together. Hurricane Charlie was an experience that we've always prepared for. We've been prepared over the decades to be storm ready, not just for the preparation of a storm, what to do during a storm, and the aftermath of a storm. From the time we're small, I mean, I remember evacuating with my children when they were small for storms. I remember now my children helping me evacuate, and my pets. It's just something that we learn growing up in Florida. We're ready. We have our supplies. Then we eat our supplies, and then we can get our next round of supplies. And then, it's just something that we're always prepared for. And I know right after when COVID happened, it's interesting because, and I talked to some other news outlets and things about this when COVID was happening, that we were prepared here because we've gone through storm prep, disaster prep, have your supplies. I don't think we were the ones running out and stocking up on a lot of things that we knew we weren't really going to need. We knew that help would be coming, if we needed it. We knew the necessities. We knew the things that we could do without, in a pinch. We knew that. What we weren't prepared for was no end. After a hurricane, we're prepared, we prep, we live through the storm, we do the cleanup, the aftermath, and then we're done. All of a sudden, we're here going, where's the done? And that has been the difference with a global pandemic. We knew, and we would counsel people here in Charlotte County, when it got to be too much, drive a couple hours and get away. In our area, go to Tampa, go to Orlando, go somewhere for a weekend and just get away. Don't look at the aftermath for a while. Go get go in the air conditioning, go somewhere and get away. There was no getting away from the pandemic. I think after we realized that we weren't that little speck on a map going through a disaster on our own, that we had to remember, and it was hard for us, that it wasn't just us, that this was an actual global pandemic. I think when we began to see that and realize that, it became a little bit easier, if that makes any kind of sense. So we have rallied around each other, and I've also mentioned this before. We circled the wagons, and we have stuck together here in Charlotte County and circled the wagons. The Chamber of Commerce, our edict has been follow the CDC and Department of Health guidelines. We have tried to follow very strictly their recommendations and their guidelines, and we've tried to set that standard for our businesses and for the community. There are so many opinions and other resources and links and opinions and voices and talking heads. But we always, when we get caught up, let's just go back and look at what it says on the CDC websites and the Department of Health websites, and go by their guidelines. And here with our local Department of Health, they've been very helpful to us when we've needed it. Our Charlotte County elected officials and Charlotte County staff, we've really rallied around each other to help our overall business community. I see nothing but palm trees and sunshine. We still, and our numbers have shown that this is still our diamond. Our visitor's guide, our community guide and business directory that we put out every year, we had more interest in that this year than any other year in the past. People are still coming to this area, not just to visit, but to relocate. We have people come in to our office or contact our office every day to get a map, to find out the real estate offices, the contractors, because they're ready to come to Charlotte County. Thank goodness that we have the mechanisms in place here to make sure that it's done correctly and that we don't become some of the areas that we see that we don't want to become. So we're still always going to be Charlotte County. One of the draws here is that the other areas that they want to be able to access, whether it's a big theme park area or a big metropolitan city, they're all within 2 or 3 hours of here. So those places that they want to visit, they're still very close to here. That's what I see for our future. Our Charlotte County Economic Development Office has done wonderful things. We hope going forward, we know going forward, we're going to be able to sustain a very productive workforce here in Charlotte County. We see nothing but positive for the future growth of Charlotte County. I've been, lived here full time since 1995. I have 3 children, and at one point, as usual, after they graduate, they leave, they go to college, and they want to, spread their wings. And I don't kick them out of the nest, but they kind of jumped out pretty quickly, and wanted to go other places. They ended up in Nashville and Seattle and Houston, and guess what? They're all back. So the furthest one away is St. Petersburg. So the other 2 are right here in Charlotte County, and that's what we like to hear. We want our youth and our good workforce to end up right back here in Charlotte County, kind of like I did.